Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Higher Density Living here in the studio. Nice snowy day in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah, it's like there was a couple cars off the freeway.
No jokes, fucking
They're like
28 degrees.
Slid.
Yeah. I woke up, I'm like, what's going on here? Last night, had a nice bottle of wine.
So you're all like relaxed.
I'm all relaxed. I wake up, I'm like, why is it snowing? Blood pressure's going up again, you know?
Yeah, did you ride your bike here?
No, I didn't. I drove the truck.
Oh, yeah, I've slid around in snow on a bike before.
Yeah, and for anybody that's curious, because you may be curious, I drive a diesel truck. I only eat plants. I love my freedoms. You know,
Yeah, I only eat plants.
I put me in a box. Do it.
Yeah, that's the sad part of our judgment.
You know, imagine being like a sports pundit. It'd be so easy.
Oh,
You're just sitting here looking at people play on the field, talking about sports
I wonder if aliens
like it's something important.
have like watch us, and then their reality TV is us, and then they have like these famous alien sportscasters making fun of us, like the highlight moments of the day.
Yeah, highlight of the idiots. They call it
Let's
highlight.
go back to Earth today and see.
Yeah, back to Earth for a highlight of the apes.
Watch this lady do something really stupid. Oh, another meat suit.
Do you know they have like NFL Red Zone or whatever it is where it shows you only the highlights?
Yes.
That's where they have just streams of humans doing stupid stuff. It's like Cops, but on all of humanity.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would watch that.
I'd watch that. By the way, did you see the new documentary on the earthquake in Kathmandu?
No, I was going to watch it, but I didn't watch it. Is it good?
Rocks you, man. Rocks you. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that one. I have to get like in the mood for different.
It's one of the most
I cut Dahmer off. I didn't really.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah, it's just too much.
Yeah.
The new show that he had.
Set. Yeah.
I've been kind of watching into like Italian shows.
I heard,
Vatican Mafia. I watched the documentary of the girl that disappeared in the Vatican. There's a whole documentary.
How do you just disappear inside of a country?
Well, that's what it was. But it's so wild because this family works for the Vatican. We're high up, just normal family.
Just chilling, sweet.
But there's not that many people in the Vatican in and of itself, you know. But it's its own country.
Yeah.
People don't realize that, but it is. Has its own rules and regulations. Well, this teenage girl goes, I think she was like 11, 12 or something. She goes, people will correct me in the comments, but she goes missing. So they can't find her, don't know where she's at, whatever. So then all these wild theories come out, like mafia is involved. Of course, the Vatican comes out, with that scenario.
Have to.
With everything going on with pedophilia and all that. But
how dare you make such a claim about the Roman Catholic Church?
Well, that's like proven.
How dare you make that claim?
The Pope had to apologize.
Yeah.
But John Paul II.
I wish we could all just apologize and get away with stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. John Paul II, he was the most famous Pope probably, comes out the window right after she disappears and says, I hope the captors release her. No one knew where she was at. So it's like, how did he know?
And how do you know
ahead of time?
First of all, how do you know they're captors? How do you know she didn't trip?
Yeah. And then fell into a river or something.
You know it's captors.
So then the other Pope, so then it goes years and years and years. She's still missing or whatever. And then Pope Benedict, I think, this last one before this one.
Yeah.
He goes to the dad and goes to him and said, so John Paul II comes to their house. So it's like, why you're like, to me, this is like why would John Paul II is like going around the world. He's freeing Poland from communism.
Yeah, why is he got to go to a house?
Why has he got to go to a house of somebody that's not? I don't mean to be mean, but in their views, the rich elite, important.
Sure.
Unless you're trying to me, cover up. This is my belief.
It's cover up.
You're covering up something.
They cover up stuff all the
time. And then the other Pope Benedict, I guess he was trying to, because they said, this is really interesting. It's all political. There's multiple factions with all these different archbishops and stuff.
They got factions
Cardinals.
Inside the Vatican?
Yeah, and some are like more corrupt than others. And and I was watching a show right along with it. It's a really good call. It's called like Suburia or something like that. And it's Mafia Vatican and politics in Rome. And they were showing like this show's like crazy. They were showing like these high up, elite cardinals and archbishops and stuff just going to these orgy parties and shit like that the mafia put on for them.
That's crazy.
And then there's like coke and
at the end of the day, They are.
Who cares at the end of the day? Why can't you still be in the Catholic Church and go to an orgy?
You can.
There's nothing wrong either or.
Like, just go. But here's the problem. Here's why
there's nothing wrong doing coke. There's nothing wrong going to an orgy.
Here's the problem. It goes against a lot of their religious teachings, how they carry themselves publicly.
Here we go.
If you didn't carry yourself publicly like that, I could care less if you're going to an orgy.
Yeah, it's your free will.
You're just a walking hypocrite that you ask the world to pay Peter's pence into.
Exactly.
That's not right.
No.
That's not right. Just be like, all right, we don't want your money anymore. We're spending all of our internal stuff on orgies.
Or you can give us money if you want and choose
for our keggers
and for all the money
keggers
that we spend and all the art that we collect.
Sure,
but that's what we do. Just be honest about it.
Why is the Vatican? Why is like if people are paying money in? Why is it not? Why is it not like a mutual, like an insurance company? Okay, we had no payouts, right? No, like claims were low. Everybody gets their earnings. They get a dividend.
Well, what happened with a lot of people's money, especially with Pope John Paul II, is they were trying to fund the freedom fighters that were in Poland. So they took millions and millions of dollars, ran it through a bank in Italy, money laundering, and then got it to these freedom fighters.
What's the name of that bank? IDF?
I don't know. But they found the guy that was in head of the bank in London under a bridge.
Yeah, he hung himself. Yeah, did you ever read the book God's Bankers?
Yes.
Great book. He didn't hang himself.
Yeah, he didn't hang himself.
No.
They were showing that, but this documentary goes into all that.
Not to mention all the passports and the gold they moved for the Nazis.
Yeah.
Would you like to go to Argentina after you committed a Holocaust? Sure. We'll help you out.
But there was a whole thing of usually you can see, and this is so funny, when you get into fascism, I'm not going against the far right or the far left, but when you do get into fascism, usually you can see it anti-Semitic. It's like a broad brushstroke with that.
Well,
it's like you have to add that in there.
Here's what happened. There was a gentleman of a very small anti-Semitic group some time ago, late 1800s, that wrote
Kanye.
Yeah, that wrote he wrote an article, and this article was essentially on this theory that the Jews were running the world and controlling things. That narrative got repurposed by the Nazis. They thought it was a very good narrative to actually build up people against a common enemy.
Right.
So if you are economically depressed after World War I, where you've paid your war reparations and you're trying to build your country back up, you want to blame somebody. You're not going to blame yourself because Kaiser Wilhelm's like, the Queen's my cousin. So who else are we going to blame? Because I can't blame Britain. That wouldn't look good.
No.
So we're going to blame the Jews. And that's what they did. And so there was this pamphlet that was written, a very small bullshit thing put together about some anti-Semitic group saying like, hey, this is how the world's actually run, which is fundamentally incorrect. But that has been carried forward, and you've seen it into, neo-fascism. You've seen it in QAnon groups.
Yes.
They've carried that narrative all the way through. And then these like deep conspiracy theorists say that, the Ashkenazi Jews, they run the banking sector.
I have a really cool explanation to that. Very, very simple.
What?
And it's happening right now with a different race, if you want to call it race or whatever you want to call it. So
race is a societal construct.
Yeah, it is. It's all. That's what I'm saying. It's either you're terrestrial or extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Whatever. Either you're citizen of Earth or you're not.
You're all wavelength and light and fields. So get over it.
But I was watching a program and they were talking about affirmative action in the sense of
what the hell is that?
Yeah, exactly. But they were talking about
is an affirmative action. I got to look it up. No, keep going.
Well, so they have to make sure these colleges have to make sure that they have an equal percentage of races that come to. Here's the reason why. Right now, and then I'll get back to Jews. I'll get back to Jews here in a section. But
for those who don't know, affirmative action. So the goal here is policy to promote members of society that come from backgrounds that were previously suffering from discrimination.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you have a percentage of African Americans in the school, percentage of Hispanic, percentage of Native Americans. You don't, because here's the problem that's happening right now. If they did not have affirmative action in Stanford, MIT, Harvard, all these areas, 99.9% of the students would be Asian.
I was just about to say
because they pass all the,
I was literally just about to say that.
This scenario that's happening right now with the Asians happened a long time ago with the Jewish people. It was the same scenario that was like, it's like, what? Because everybody's like, well, they're all infiltrating the banking system. Of course. That's what they were pushed to
Because they're
do.
fucking smart.
Yeah, that's because they're smart,
they
and that's
work
what
hard.
they like finance. I mean, how many guys do you know took money, bought stocks with their bar mitzvah money?
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Almost
I mean,
all
it's
of
just a thing. It's like a cultural thing.
It's like
being
financial acumen is passed down culturally through the Jewish.
That's all it is. Now, you can have bad actors in any type of service to self, service to others.
Sure.
That could be service to self people. Like that's what Kanye said on Lex Friedman podcast. He was like, the reason he basically thinks that there's this big conspiracy with Jews is he's like, the 9 people that were around me, controlling all my money, especially in the music industry, all were Jewish. Yeah, and they all fucked me over.
No. First of all, did you sign the fucking contract? Fucked yourself over.
Yeah.
Did you not read it? Did you not hire a lawyer?
Yeah.
To explain to you how you're giving all this stuff away? Please, don't even do that.
You can't play victim.
No.
Don't
play victim and then associate it to a Semitic value. That is absolute trash.
Or the part that gets me is don't play victim and then claim that a whole group of people are victimized by you based off of how you got screwed over with some music thing.
Correct.
Because that's like you getting screwed over in a music contract and then comparing that to slavery. It's not even close.
Not even close. Do you know how many Jews I know, work with, and love have never screwed me over?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm.
None. You know how many Shabbats I've been to? No one's in there knifing me or trying to pawn me off.
People are people.
Like, they're just human beings.
Yeah. Do you know how many African American friends that I have that are amazing and not racist and love Jews and don't care? It doesn't matter.
No,
it's this thing. This thing is like, to me, and I think this is really, really important for people to understand.
I'm listening.
Whenever you look at, whenever you begin to understand, and I don't know if you want to call it spirituality or just awakening or enlightenment or whatever, and you begin to look at oneness, it really fucks you up. All those beliefs, all those systems that were ingrained in you as a child.
Yeah.
All that trauma that was passed down to you, from generation to generation, when you began to see what true oneness is, because melanin is nothing in the whole scheme of DNA.
Nothing.
It's like 0.0001%. The color of your skin is absolutely it means nothing.
You ready for a total mind fuck?
Yes, here we go.
Do you know why your skin's white? Why I chose is white?
I can make a joke, but I won't.
No. Do you know? No. In the scientifically.
No. Yeah. I mean, I know there's less melanin because of certain areas.
It's the only color it doesn't want to be. You are every other color except for this one. This is actually a reflection of what it doesn't want. Why are plants green?
Yes.
They don't want the green. They want all the other parts of the spectrum except for the green.
Well, here's my thing too. We only see 1% of the.
So are black people black? No.
They're
every other color but black.
Well, we only see 1% of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So what would we look at what would we look like if we could see the whole spectrum?
Well,
that's an illusion in and of itself.
Okay.
Color, probably.
All right, let's talk about this. Let's just use physics. Not even get crazy about it real quick. My body is a thermal capacitor. What does it mean? What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? My body produces heat. It has energy. That energy has to get released. A release of energy emits a wavelength. That wavelength has a color. So if I'm looking at something deep infrared, near infrared, or ultraviolet, you're going to see a field around my body. Correct?
Yes.
The same field that every other person is emitting. But everybody is justifying their bullshit beliefs in social appropriation of constructs that are untrue onto people on the auspices of only seeing 1% of the total visible spectrum of everything that could be seen about a human being.
That's good. Yes.
I can't see inside their mind. I can't see the aura that they're giving off. I can't see their electrical signals. None of that. But all I can see is 1%, and that's what I'm going to define them as. What an asinine thing to do. If I'm going to go out...
It's just ignorance.
Oh, let me give it another metaphor here because I'm really enjoying this. Say I knew how to drive a car, but only 1% of the ability to drive a car. Imagine all of us participating together on this 1% idea of knowing how to drive cars. How would that go? Smashing, there'd be death, catastrophe, blame, constant, all the time. Wouldn't work. If I told someone to go take a spaceship and go bring it up there, but you only know 1% of how to control that, how to operate, what are you going to do?
It's
Say I got a guy, right?
guaranteed.
I'm really enjoying this. Say I got someone out in the oil field, geological surveyor. He's like, all right, I'm going to go find you some oil. All right, good. I'm paying you a big 6-figure salary. I need you to go find it for me. Well, I only know 1% of how to find it. Sir, this is 100 square miles. This will take a lifetime if you only know 1%. And you want me to guess every single time? You don't know. You are walking around in this aimless world, looking at things and assuming that that is the truth. When fundamentally, it's not the truth. The only truth is the idea that sits inside you. It's how you actually receive the information that's coming in.
100%.
It's not that you're looking at it, which makes it true. It's how you actually receive it into your mind and understand the principles that allow you to exist, making that observation true. But if I have 1% saying, oh, they're black, they must be a bad person. Oh, they're Jewish, they must be a bad person. How?
I think for me, if you're fighting racism inside of yourself, to me, it's just like real practical. The minute that you have that thought, you need to catch it and go into a process of whether have forgiveness for yourself, those type of things. But you need to look at it and say, why do I feel like I'm judging right now? Like I do that with people in general. Like somebody irritates the fuck out of me or whatever.
Like me?
No, not you.
Thank you.
Like on the road or something, like fuck you, that type of thing. During traffic or whatever.
Sure.
But for me, the most important thing that I can do is mirror it in the sense of I'm getting irritated at something that I see that either I feel like I'm lacking. Usually the thing that I'm irritated about, I mean, whatever it is, Jews, blacks, Hispanic. I mean, everybody picks something.
Sun, because it gives
tribes used to hate each other. So
sure.
I mean, wherever we were at, the English killed the Scottish, and
yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
I'm still going to appropriate a lot of disdain towards the English.
I mean, look at the Irish Wars.
I know.
Catholic and Protestant. That was happening to what, the 90s?
Yeah, Romans and barbarians.
Yeah,
right? That's not fair.
Yeah, but I mean, whenever you look at, so for me, like practically to bring this all down, then we'll get into our actual thing next episode.
Okay.
But for me, it's like I have to look at it and say, what's inside of me that's causing this judgment? So I have to stop and pause and say, and usually it's something that it's a catalyst of something that I need to work on inside of me.
Jason, that's such a strong tool, though. Now, be honest.
Yeah.
Be practical. How long did that take?
I mean, it takes 2 seconds to think it, but it took a long time for me to
learn the habit.
Yeah, I haven't. I just started a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Great. So it took a couple of years.
Yeah.
Everybody has to understand here. If you have spent 40 years, 20 years, 15, whatever, building up these false ideas, that shitty house doesn't come down very quickly. You need it's going to take some time and work to realize that the fundamentals which are supporting these false ideas aren't correct. And it's going to take a while to take that structure down and rebuild one that's truly appropriate.
Well, how long is it going to take us to get to 6th density? Millions of years?
It'll take after 60 million, you move upper 5th, right? And then another 6 to 8 billion after that for upper.
Okay,
6th.
so let's say, we have all these meat suits that we're going to go through, all this, light, love, we'll be flowing through light, 5th density, all this stuff. But
yeah,
to get to 6th density, okay, billions of years.
Yeah.
Why are we in such a hurry to change it now?
I have no idea.
You know what I mean? Like, why if we're going to live for billions of years,
yeah,
and we're evolving and we're learning in those,
I'll tell you
in
why.
those billions of years, it's going to take time to learn.
I'll tell you why. No, people are scared to die.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yep.
I feel like my mind has become very simple. People are just scared to die, Jason. That's it.
It's fear.
It's total fear of death. Honestly, I'm chilling. It's all good. Next one comes around, I'll be like, all right, I spent some good time.
But you don't die.
No.
Your meat suit goes away.
But this is what bothers people. They have no control over that process. Zero. And here's what's also a little hypocritical. They're worried because they don't have control over the process. It's inevitable. And they never take once the second to look at themselves and be like, well, I'm not even controlling my own mind. Why am I worried about dying?
But you do, like, in a sense, when you understand the, like we talked about last week, and I encourage people to do that in those Law of 139 session.
It's a great session.
When
Session.
Your sixth density self can look at you dying and be like, oh, we've done this a million times already.
Yeah.
So yourself is looking at you, and you'd have to go to that podcast to understand this. Yourself is looking at you, and it's like, okay, it's not a big deal.
No.
Dying's not a big deal when you look at it from that perspective.
Listen, you are experiencing death right now, this very moment.
Yeah, we're decaying.
You decay. You're born to decay because it's a catalyst that forces you to take action and to learn. If I didn't decay, I'd sit around for a very long time, do a lot of thinking. May not be good. I may become totally hedonistic. I see there's no value in life, right?
Like vampires.
Like vampires. What do? They suck blood out of people.
They live for ever and ever. And
right. It's very draining, but
no pun intended.
No pun intended. Right.
I would like to turn into a wolf, though.
Wolves are cool.
Like that Dracula show. Remember that one on Netflix with the nuns and all that stuff a couple years back? Did you ever watch that one?
No.
Oh, it's done really, really well. It's he can turn into a wolf.
Okay,
the Dracula can turn into a wolf, and then he like sheds it.
That's cool.
That would be cool.
Here's my point. If you go back to the previous episode we did on session 39, tremendous. The aspect here, and you need to understand something about yourself in the aspect of dying. What you're experiencing right now is motion. Motion, the movement of something material, that defines time. Because there's a change in space saying that something has moved from one point to the next.
Yes.
And it's measurable. And through that process, it has to displace something else. Time is occurring. Time is the natural, accountant of death itself. So.
But there's positive to that, not to interrupt you, but there's positive to that because there's expansion and evolving.
Precisely correct. Now, in a very material world, my body is decaying, forcing my consciousness to learn, and then hopefully through that process, developing my overall consciousness block, which will get digested upon death into the spirit itself with whatever truths I've decided to learn in my life. Simple. Cool. The process of living and dying is a function of time and movement throughout the universe. Those things aren't meant to last forever. They're actually meant to coalesce. So as your physical self essentially dissolves, get to a point where the movement stops, there has to be a reverse of that energy.
Yes.
The reverse of that energy is the aggregation, the coalescence of everything that has been learned into the spirit itself, the thing that continues to live. Now, the human spirit is something that is timeless because it's not bound by the material. There's no movement in the spirit. So, this thing that has always existed is already living in your future you.
Yes.
I know this is going to be a little tough to wrap your head around, but there's a logic to this process. So this future you is sending an impulse to your subconscious about truths that it already knows and has already learned.
And doing it without going against your free will.
And it never goes against your free will because it sends it to the subconscious via impulse. And the consciousness which you have can choose to receive it or block it. And that allows you the catalyst to essentially reframe what can be learned for greater learning. So it's saying, I know the future. Okay. I'm going to give you the information. How are you going to enliven the future even more? It's a beautiful self-fulfilling prophecy here. So you don't have to look at the aspect of, I'm not in control. It's inevitable that I die. What you need to do is get the hell out of your own way and realize things expand. And when they're done expanding, right?
Yes.
They get to a point where they separate a lot.
Right.
The wave stagnates into equalization and then it collapses back down.
I love it. So do you think that, and we're going to get into session 70 at some point, which is a continuation of session 39.
Sure.
Because I want to go off of what you just said and ask you a question. So that blockage that happens from the subconscious to the conscious,
yes,
is what is creating that fear of death.
Always, because every truth you need to know about your existence occurs from that connection, from the spiritual truth, which doesn't say words. It's impulses of energy. And the more truthful they are,
Right.
the more it can be received, right? The more potent it becomes, the more it wants to push through.
Yeah, because Quo said that, they travel on light, like sun rays, light.
Yeah, why the
So-
hell not?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're
doesn't-
traveling through light, you could get a light impulse. I mean, that's how externally, that's how they found when we think.
Right.
That's what comes out. I think it goes like 6 meters or something, our
Yeah.
thoughts.
No,
come out.
so in a physical sense in a highly material sense, I'm going to say coarse material, like these things I can grab, it is going to emit a wave.
Yeah.
All things do. I'm emitting a wave just in my regular body outside of my thinking itself. Your brain uses 33% of your total calorie intake just to process. 33% of all the food that goes into your stomach is power in the brain. Okay. That has to emit an energy wave. It's going to be short. But
That's why chess players have to consume like 5,000 calories.
Yeah.
They burn the equivalent when they play chess, these high up chess people.
Yeah.
They burn the equivalent to like somebody running a marathon.
I play chess on my phone constantly. I max the computer out at 3,200. It knows every chess move from every grandmaster, every opening, every close.
That's so awesome.
That's all I play against.
You heard about the guy that just got busted with cheating?
Oh no, who?
Maximus or something like that?
No way.
Yeah. But and I may be wrong. I don't know. This is all Lex Friedman has these guys on. But he was actually, are you ready?
Yeah.
He had, supposedly, and you have to look this up, but he had a anal vibrator that would send different vibrations to let him know how to move with somebody on the other end on a computer. That'd be a great way to get away with it.
That's actually a great way to cheat.
Yeah, that's what they were. Yeah.
Non-sexual, like this is a really great
Yeah,
way to cheat.
exactly. That's the perfect way. No one's going to question that.
No one's going to check his ass.
Just be like,
yeah.
I mean, it may feel great too. I don't know,
you never know. It's like, I fucking love chess.
This is the best thing ever. Let's go. I'll spend 3 hours. It may get annoying too.
Rook to h3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows?
Here, so let's
get off the anal subject.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry. So distilling this thing back down. Your fear of death comes from the lack of understanding that things come back, but you don't have to worry that much about the material body. People are like, oh, I'm going to forget this life. I'm going to forget all these things. No. What you'll forget is the material. But every truth you've learned, every experience that is positively evolutive to the self gets captured and brought forward. It's like a good algorithm on a computer. It's like it scrapes away all the bad stuff, leaves only the good stuff. And then it keeps taking that good stuff to feed itself forward and learn new things. This body is just a vessel which the spirit is coming in and paying like room and board to. Is this making sense?
Yes.
It comes in and says, okay, I will give energy. I will enliven the body with essentially, very powerful cosmic energy. And then from that, allowing this thing to exist so that it can go out, the body, the physical one, learn. And then upon its death, the spirit says, okay, it's time to leave this room. I've paid my board. And now, in total equilibrium, what was learned from the physical consciousness is then transferred over to the spirit. Are you tracking here?
Yeah. So you're not physically, you're dying.
Physically, you're dying.
But it's not really death.
So where does this leave you, Jason? From what I've told you, where does this leave you? This only leaves you at the point that the most important thing in your life is how you control your thoughts.
Yes.
Because those thoughts deal with the perceptions
100%.
And how that information is collected into the overall consciousness block and then shared to the spirit. If you want to evolve faster, relatively, control your thoughts. If you want to see the deeper truths in the world to feed your spirit, know your thoughts, control them.
Yeah, I saw a study the other day on Science Daily. We have like close to 90,000 thoughts a day.
Not me.
And they said that
I shut that
70-something thousand are negative. Think about that. The average person.
I don't doubt that. What happens is
majority of your thoughts are negative. Think about that. That's crazy.
Well, they become reaffirming. They reaffirm negatives.
Well, they're probably fight or flight, fear-based.
They're all fear-based.
Ego.
No truth. None of that. No reverence for life. Zero. It's all about this
self-preservation
and fear against,
everything.
Absolutely everything. Everything you're perceiving.
Dude, I find that more and more with these mental health issues that are going on, especially after COVID. People are so afraid of stuff. And I'm not blaming anything with, I don't want to get into that part of it. Who cares? I'm just saying when these catalysts hit,
Yeah.
which are learning lessons, when these catalysts hit in our life, you have an option.
You have an option.
You have an option. You could go fear-based.
Yeah.
Or you could go into learning mode.
It's optionality on everything.
Yeah. And learning mode is such a positive thing because I get to evolve and I'm just putting those building blocks together for me to evolve to the next density. So I'm like, in this meat suit, I want to be a big part of that. I want to be like, oh, that Jason Rigby that was in, 2022, that guy that lived for 100 years or whatever, that motherfucker like pushed us way up.
Correct.
I want to be like.
Did you guys feel that lift? Like,
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Who's that smart gorilla? No, but beyond that, Jason.
We're going to close out in this.
We got to close out on this. You will
die.
You will die in time. No, it's like.
You will. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. All we have to do is realize that nature, life, is not out to get you.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not. Nothing about it is. Nature is there to uplift and afford you the opportunity to learn. Sometimes you could do something stupid. Sometimes you're caught in a low probability situation. But that doesn't mean life is out to get you.
No, a mama bear and cubs doesn't mean life is out to get you. You just got put in a situation.
And this will be a final closing thought for people to think about. When the Big Bang occurred, and I'm just going to talk about the Big Bang of our universe, the Dern universe, which Dern, Darjanani, whatever. I'll explain it later. When the Big Bang occurred, in about 2.7 seconds, everything physical that currently exists now, the physical material showed up. That thing was set into motion, creating a sense of time. 2.7 seconds. Those motions could not be stopped. They already started a chain of cause and effect. We were a part of that chain. It allowed us to exist in 2.7 seconds. Every single piece of physical material that allowed this body to currently exist showed up. And then, because of the development of our consciousness allowing us to make choices within that causal chain, you have the option to be a part of the things that continue to evolve and push forward, or fight against that causal chain, which has far more energy and strength and power and might and truth than you could ever experience in one lifetime.
Yes.
And people find themselves fighting it over the course of their lives. People find themselves saying, oh, I got unlucky. No, what you did is you made a choice within the greater causality of the existence of this universe, choices that led you to move to improbable situations, choices that led you to be physically, emotionally, or mentally harmed through nobody else's action but yourself. Not one thing about this was designed to hurt you. That 2.7 seconds of material explosion allowed you to exist. That is a greater love than you will ever understand. It was never out to get you.
Mm-mm.
It was created to allow you to make those choices and evolve. That's what it wants for itself. So take the time to reflect on the fact that life is not out to get you. Let the ego go, silence it, control your thoughts, and realize that life is nothing but learning. Thank you.